A new AIDS scare. Organs for transplant carrying the virus. Lessons of violence in American schools. And big financial deals gone sour leave investors bitter. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. There are new fears tonight about the risk of getting AIDS from organ and tissue transplants. This follows word that AIDS-infected organs and tissues from a Virginia man may have killed 3 transplant recipients and infected dozens more in as many as 16 states. Erin Hayes reports.
The organ transplant industry is worried. Always seen as a lifesaver, organ donation is now known to have delivered death sentences. From a single donor, 4 AIDS-infected organs and dozens of possibly AIDS-infected tissues were sent to hospitals across the country.
There are several states. We're not prepared to name these states at this point.
Officials say it was 6 years ago. Surgeons from the Medical College of Virginia removed organs from a 22-year-old man. His heart, kidneys, liver, and pancreas were flown to other hospitals and immediately transplanted into 5 patients. In addition, a number of tissue grafts were taken, including a hip joint, given to more than 50 patients.
We think some of them may be at risk for contracting AIDS.
The Medical College of Georgia was sent a bone graft from the infected donor and just today is contacting the person who received it.
And have had staff contacting him or her and having that person come to the hospital for counseling and testing.
At the time they're taken, organs are tested for the AIDS virus, but it doesn't always show up if the body hasn't formed antibodies against it yet. It is a risk, experts say, that organ recipients take.
Until we find a cure to AIDS, I think we'll always have a chance of getting such cases.
For those like Danelle Johnson, waiting for a lung transplant, the news is almost too hard to hear.
I try not to think of the negative things, try just to stay in a positive frame of mind.
Her mother just stays hopeful.
But I just have to have faith in the system that they are all doing their job and that my daughter will get a good set of lungs.
The question that remains is why it took almost 6 years for this news to come to light. 3 federal agencies are scrambling to figure it out. That and how many more cases like this may be out there unreported right now. Erin Hayes, CBS News, Atlanta.
Breast cancer research has turned up what could be an important discovery. Scientists have identified a substance that appears to spur the growth of breast cancer cells. It's called growth factor P as in Paul 75. Researchers hope that one day they will be able to use this P75 to fight breast cancer. The argument that making some of the nation's schools better may require gun control got additional evidence today. School violence is on the rise. Gunplay now involves students barely old enough to spell it. Scott Pelley has some of the latest shocking examples.
In the nation's schools, this is a week of violent lessons. Kansas City, 2 students are shot in their middle school cafeteria. Seattle, a 3rd grader carries a gun to his elementary school. And Grand Prairie, Texas, a boy is caught smoking and fires 3 shots at an assistant principal.
He pulled his jacket off of his shoulder, put the gun up in my face. All I noticed that it was short and it was silver.
Across the nation, schools report a rapid increase in violence and weapons.
Years ago, we'd typically have fist fights in school. Now they're being replaced by gunfights.
Educators blame the combination of drugs and gangs for opening the schoolhouse door to the handgun. California is one of the only states that keeps statistics on school violence, and there, handgun confiscations are up 40% in 1 year. There is violence in even the best school districts. Last month, President Bush honored the Richardson, Texas schools for academic excellence. But also this year, Richardson gun confiscations have doubled. 1 student killed himself in class.
Our crisis team responds to a major crisis 4 or 5 times a month where a student has been murdered, another one has attempted suicide.
Fatalities are more common because the weapons are deadlier. Today, 25% of big city schools use metal detectors.
The first time you use a weapon, unlike the first time you throw a fist, it can be very fatal.
This summer, many districts will reassess their security, expanding the use of metal detectors, guard dogs, and police officers in the halls of the nation's schools. Scott Pelley, CBS News, Dallas.
First, many of the savings and loans went down. Then, some of the banks got shaky, and now there are questions about insurance companies. Following the worst failure yet in an insurance company in this country, thousands of people are now worried about how it might affect their pension money. As David Dow reports, it turns out some of their worries are justified.
The problems are very severe and they are very real.
Most of the 500 here already knew that. For 5 weeks, they've lived with a cloud over their financial futures while the state struggled to salvage California's executive life insurance company, the nation's largest ever insurance failure. Annuity payments, regular payouts to investors, to Robert and Arlene Steinert and thousands of others have been cut by 30%.
We have always been taught to save our money and keep it so we don't have to go on the government doles when we have to go to the rest home. So now, who knows?
Many in the crowd complained their employers had transferred their pension funds to executive life investments, backed by now worthless junk bonds.
I thought I had a pension for a lifetime without any problem, then all of a sudden I find out that they cut that down to 70%.
The failure of executive life has been followed this week by state limits on another insurer, First Capital Life, raising questions, at least, about an entire institution.
We grew up thinking that insurance was solid, that it was there. No matter what happened, it'd be there for us. We've learned some very bitter lessons.
Well, there's certainly some disturbing parallels between what is occurring now and what has occurred previously with respect to the savings and loan with the banking industry.
But the insurance industry insists to policyholders that there's a basic difference, that few insurance companies have built themselves on risky investments.
If you look at the investment policies of the life insurance industry, they're very conservative, the industry is very large, and it's very stable and secure.
And, say critics, one of the nation's least regulated industries. In the wake of the executive life debacle, lawmakers in California and Washington are debating whether that should change. David Dow, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, the business of home videos and video pirates stealing the show.
You wouldn't even have a life.
Reintroducing a glorious name for a glorious new automobile. The 1992 Buick Roadmaster. With its powerful V8 performance and the security of its driver's airbag, ABS brakes, and full perimeter frame, Roadmaster is perhaps the best value in an American luxury sedan. Roadmaster also delivers something only a Buick can deliver. Buick quality.
Sure, I want my family to eat healthy. Doesn't everyone? And I trust Pam to help.
Look at all the fat and calories butter, margarine, and oil add compared to Pam.
That's why we're Pam people.
No stick Pam. It's the healthier way to cook.
All in favor of garden grip tools with the comfortable foam cushion handles. Garden Grip Lawn and Garden Tools by True Temper. We make yard work easy to handle.
The Pentagon now says 3,700 American soldiers will stay in Kuwait right through the summer and at least until September. The troops will be moved from Europe, moved to Kuwait to replace U.S. forces now being withdrawn. Defense Secretary Cheney today called this a temporary deployment. He says Kuwait needs still more time to regroup its own military forces. Worried Kurdish refugees are now streaming back inside Iraq, returning to their homes or to camps set up by U.S. and allied forces. But as correspondent Bill McLaughlin reports, the death toll is still mounting among the refugees.
Tens of thousands of Kurds are returning from Iran, lured back into Iraq by hopes for a political settlement. But for many, this is a death march in reverse, just as deadly and difficult as their flight from Iraq 2 months ago. The enemy this time is less obvious but no less dangerous: typhoid fever, an intestinal disease that flourishes in polluted water.
We are sure that there is typhus, that is Salmonella typhi in the water down here in the rivers around this area. Even we started training the population. This woman still drinks water from the river.
Dr. Olefs is here illegally. He smuggled himself and his makeshift clinic into Iraq, joining a few Western organizations desperately trying to make a difference. The stricken are taken to refugee clinics en route. These mothers know it is not a question of if their babies will die, but when. The road into Iraq is lined with the graves of the very young and very old. The living are bringing the dead back home, part of the baggage. There is not enough medicine to treat the typhoid. Iran won't allow supplies into Iraq. The Allies haven't helped because this area is outside of their security zone. There is not one central relief agency in charge of this region. The result is chaos.
Without management, you rapidly get a situation where the available drug supplies are inappropriately prescribed simply because everybody's overwhelmed in a rush.
Dr. Rafiz Ahmed has had to give his patients ampicillin, a milder antibiotic than they need, because he doesn't have much else.
I became angry because I can't offer what is necessary to them, not because of me, because of lack of facility, because of lack of drug, because of lack of help.
He's afraid of what's in store for these returning refugees. Even if they get their wish, a Kurdistan they can rule without threat from Baghdad, their first challenge may be a full-scale typhoid epidemic. Bill McLaughlin, CBS News, London.
The home video revolution in this country has produced some remarkable footage of crime scenes, from police beatings to muggers who videotape themselves in the act to brag about it. But home video equipment is also being used to commit crimes. Richard Roth reports on the growing problem of video pirates.
I got it. It's a raid in a Los Angeles suburb.
We're going to close the store down right now.
But Southgate police weren't after drugs or guns. The target here was videotape. The booming business in home video has set off a crime wave in counterfeit cassettes that the movie industry says is costing $150 million a year in lost profits.
It's a bogus label.
How do you know that's bogus? It looks...
Well, I can feel the print on it. It's a photocopy. A pirate has a lab set up somewhere, and he's just running these off using a legitimate cassette.
And selling the bootleg tapes for a fraction of what legitimate wholesalers charge. But the latest scam is putting brand new movies on tape long before they're released as home videos. The movie makers in this business don't need big financing, creative talent, or Hollywood connections. It's enough to have a seat in the theater and one of these. Video pirates smuggling handheld camcorders into theaters or making movies in the dark, then selling copies for $10 or $15 on the street, especially on the streets of New York.
Now you can see the flicker.
The picture and sound are poor, but that's just part of the problem. An even bigger annoyance can be when someone in the audience moves in front of the lens.
The damage is when the consumer in good conscience goes and gets one of these cassettes and finds that it's an inferior quality.
Most video pirates are taping first-run films in hotel rooms or mass duplicating movies as soon as they're out on home video. In New York this month, police raided what's being called the country's biggest pirate video operation.
We recovered through those raids about 75,000 copies. That's a lot of copies.
Piracy hotline?
Among the Motion Picture Association's anti-piracy efforts is a hotline offering rewards for tips about counterfeit tapes.
There's another counterfeit for you.
But that wasn't what led to the bust this week. It was a customer so angry about the quality of the tapes he kept renting that he complained to the police, who happened to be just across the street. Richard Roth, CBS News, Los Angeles.
A series of tornadoes ripped through central Kansas overnight. They followed almost the same path as the twisters that killed 19 people 3 weeks ago. This time, no one was killed, but 30 houses were destroyed or damaged in several towns near Wichita, and a lot of folks were scared. In the nation's capital late today, a bolt of lightning killed one person, injured at least 10 more. The lightning struck a playing field at the private St. Albans School at National Cathedral. A lacrosse match was underway there. Students as well as spectators reportedly are among the casualties. Stay with us now for more news, including Eye on America. Tonight, those who fought in the Gulf and now are having to fight for their financial lives.
much of a good thing is a good thing. The new, incredibly comfortable Mercury Grand Marquis. All this on the quality of a Mercury.
Chris Everett discusses her weakness.
It's not tennis. It's eating. I love rich, creamy foods. But now this isn't a weakness. It's healthy eating, thanks to Kraft.
Kraft introduces Eating Right frozen entrees. Rich, creamy recipes now lower in fat, cholesterol, sodium, and calories.
Weakness? Not anymore.
New Kraft Eating Right entrees. Kraft makes eating right.
Delicious.
When you smiling. It's hard to smile when your teeth need help. Original Milk-Bone and Tartar Control biscuits help you take care of your dog's teeth. Give your dog something to smile about. When you smiling.
I need a laxative that can work dependably.
Doxadan can.
But can it be gentle?
Doxadan can. Doxadan works dependably overnight with a special ingredient for gentle relief.
Dependable, yes. Gentle, yes.
Doxadan can.
Ed's in the Sudan, Steve's in Berlin, Harry's in Casablanca, and you're in for a treat. A 60 Minutes tribute to Harry Reasoner, Sunday.
Americans who served in the Gulf are returning home to cheering crowds and happy celebrations. But in tonight's Eye on America, another less joyous side to the homecoming story. Correspondent Wyatt Andrews reports on the high cost of war for military reservists.
I don't think I should be penalized because that I went to the Persian Gulf. Well, I had a great sense of pride and a very warm feeling coming home. I don't want anything more than what I had when I left. I was very happy and very content with what we had.
John Shelton's welcome home from the Persian Gulf War included the shock of seeing a Mexican furniture store where before the war he had made handcrafted glass. The war would require sacrifice, John figured, but not this.
When I came back from Fort Bragg, the sign had been removed from the shop. I looked through the windows, and it was empty. All of my display cases was gone. The building was completely empty. There was nothing in there, no sign of anything. Reach far, come on. You getting it. You doing good, come on.
Like thousands of reservists called to active duty, John led a schizophrenic life. Overseas, he was a warrior, a decorated helicopter pilot in Vietnam, an air ambulance pilot in the Gulf. At home, though, John is an artisan, a glassblower, who, when his shop was open, made the kind of early American reproductions you find in the gift shops of colonial Williamsburg.
Well, here's, I believe this might be one of my bottles right here.
Part of John's problem is that business was slow before the war. His landlords, who would not go on camera, agree they were negotiating back rent, but say when John left for war and they found a new cash-paying tenant, they moved John out anyway.
Can they do that? Wyatt, by all rights, they shouldn't have done that.
Colonel Jeff Allen, John's military lawyer, says Congress has already passed legislation protecting servicemen from most evictions, foreclosures, and repossessions, but the changes are so new, few businessmen know they exist.
The intent of the act was that we're all in this together, and we're all part of the same team, Wyatt. The business community's got to bend a little bit and give a little bit, too.
This kind of bittersweet homecoming is happening mostly to the nation's reservists, those part-time soldiers and sailors who lost their normal incomes when the call came to active duty. The material fall for thousands of their families was and is humiliating.
We continue our pledge-a-thon to raise money for families with people overseas in the Persian Gulf.
Needy military families? The need was so great in Central Virginia, a Richmond TV station held a telethon so the Red Cross could help reserve and regular military families buy food and pay rent.
Come on.
This was not just another appeal for the underclass, it's more like a middle-class meltdown. Wendy Drumgold, an accountant with 4 children and a mortgage, says her family lost so much when her husband went to war, she found herself in line asking the Red Cross to pay the light bill.
We were just kind of left out in the cold, and, you know, it's not that they shouldn't help the Kurdish refugees and other countries who are going through crises, but we have a crisis here that is not being addressed.
Faced with the reality of digging out of this hole, it strains one's patriotism.
The crunch also came for high-income reservists. Dr. Joe Dobner, who commanded the 475th MASH unit treating refugees, suffered more than $200,000 in lost billings and the layoff of 3 employees in his practice.
No one expects to pay quite that much. You know, the reality of it, looking at it right now, is bigger than I had ever expected.
But what exactly should these reservists expect? Didn't they, after all, take the government's money in all those years when there was no war? Most insist they want no charity, no Washington bailouts, just an awareness that they shouldn't have to pay for the privilege of risking their lives.
Do you deserve special treatment?
I don't like to think that we deserve any special treatment, but I don't like to feel that we should have anything taken away because we were gone either. I don't think that we should be chastised for what we did.
Every day now, reservists return to small-town parades and emotional welcomes. But this war, much more so than Vietnam, is dispensing some equal opportunity hardship. And now a corps of troops so able to protect the nation is finding that in their personal lives, they were unable to protect themselves. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Williamsburg, Virginia.
Coming up next, the Dan Quayle Museum.
Honda has been named #1 in import owner loyalty for the 14th year in a row, which means year after year, more people buy Honda after Honda. Why? Because you get what you pay for.
The Accord Lease Program. See your nearest Honda dealer for details.
I tell my son, before you go off to play, you better eat a good breakfast.
Experts recommend whole grain. Wheaties has it. These cereals don't. So if you want to get your whole grain,
better listen to your mom.
Better eat your Wheaties.
Quit stealing my line.
Just be yourself, Dorothy. I'm sure my parents will love you. Just don't discuss politics.
My head.
And I'd forget about the first husband.
Where's my Anacin?
When you've got a splitting headache, reach for Anacin. Anacin relieves headache pain better than regular strength Bear or Bufferin.
Glad you're feeling better, hon. They're here.
Anacin, strong pain relief for splitting headaches.
Today, you can get Maalox strength in a snap. Maalox Plus tablets. So fast, if you take them now, they'll start working now. Maalox Plus tablets are fast stomach therapy.
Daryl's a Dodger, and now he faces his old teammates. Daryl Strawberry leads LA against the New York Mets, Saturday on CBS.
The Senate voted today to require the Republican and Democratic presidential nominees to debate each other at least 4 times. The candidates would lose millions of dollars in federal campaign funds if they refused to make these joint appearances. Supporters of Dan Quayle say they're absolutely convinced he will run and win easily with President Bush next year, and then in 1996 he'll be elected president. This is one of the reasons they put together a temporary exhibition for him back home in Indiana. Bruce Morton takes us through it.
Huntington, Indiana is so proud of its most famous citizen, they've opened a museum about him. Dan Quayle's life, from diapers to the vice presidency of the United States.
I suppose your mother saved a lock of hair, baby hair.
I don't know.
You don't know. Well, here's a lock of Dan's hair.
A sweatshirt his mother made when young Dan shot hoops in the basement.
We also have his Little League uniform. He played for the Huntington Kiwanis.
The exhibit traces a life, friends, school, the law school diploma, which their dog Barnaby snacked on one evening.
All of us have neighbors and relatives and friends that we like. Dan is that man in this community.
This is the Herald Press.
You can also take the walking tour. Marge Heiner showed us around, the family paper, the courthouse where the vice president spoke after his nomination.
It's okay to be a kid from Indiana, and it's okay to be vice president.
Small stuffed salad.
And finally, Nick's Kitchen, where Dan Quayle hung out. Jean Ann Dravenscott is Nick nowadays.
Now you've got a quail burger on the menu.
Yeah.
Has the vice president ever eaten a quail burger?
The vice president has never had a quail burger, no.
What does he have when he's here?
The breaded tenderloin sandwich.
This is the breaded tenderloin sandwich. It's big.
Okay, Joey, open wide.
All kinds of people gave things to the exhibit. Dentist John Regan gave a picture of patient Quail sitting just where Joey's sitting.
He's an excellent patient. Excellent dental health. It's a great dental model.
Huntington hasn't changed much since Dan Quail grew up here. A good place still for families, for kids. Most of them know Dan Quail or his brothers or his folks. They like him.
Well, I'm all for Dan Quail. I think he's great.
There's pictures of him at Christmas up there in his pajamas.
Tourists come and school kids. When they leave, they sign a book and add some comments. Some pose with the Dan Quail cutout, now that the real thing no longer lives here.
No, I'm just proud to live here and to be a part of this history.
He is the 44th vice president
There he is.
and the only one with a museum. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Huntington.
One of the pioneers of television news is bidding us farewell, but not goodbye. My CBS News colleague and friend Harry Reasoner, one of the original editors of 60 Minutes, is cutting back his workload. Sunday is his last regular broadcast. He'll become a contributing correspondent and editor emeritus. In 1968, Harry and Mike Wallace started off as the original co-editors of this newfangled broadcast magazine called 60 Minutes. They said their goodbyes to each other during the taping for this Sunday's broadcast. That's part of our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. I'll see you Monday. Good night.
You just couldn't resist eating the last of that crunchy, sweet, crackling oat bran. How do you avoid being blamed?
Hey, Tiger.
You never saw Daddy eat the crackling oat bran.
Hiya, sweetie.
You didn't eat all the crackling oat bran, did you?
With the crunchy, sweet taste of Kellogg's crackling oat bran, an open box is an empty box.
Through the cold, in the heat, there is a passion that drives the people of GM. Improving Chevrolets, Pontiacs, Oldsmobiles, Buicks, Cadillacs, and GMC trucks, so that today, 95% of their owners would recommend one. With 99 models redesigned and engineered, GM is putting quality on the road.
If the chalky taste of your antacid makes it harder and harder to take, now there's new Mylanta Cherry and Cool Mint Creams, the best tasting antacids, blended creamier for a non-chalky taste.
No wonder my doctor said Mylanta. These days, there are more pain relievers than ever. But last year, more people switched to Tylenol gel caps than any other. Extra strength Tylenol gel caps. Concentrated, powerful, easy to swallow. Join the switch to Tylenol gel caps.
Throughout history, great barriers have been discovered and built. Heart's Blockade for dogs and cats is one of them. Used as directed, Heart's Blockade creates an invisible barrier protecting your pets from fleas and ticks before they get a chance to live on your pet. Heart's Blockade repels and kills fleas and ticks, including ticks that carry Lyme disease, reducing the chances of causing discomfort to your pet. Helping to improve your pet's quality of life is your responsibility. Helping you do that is Heart's.
This is CBS.
Good evening, I'm Vicki